Hey, welcome back. Try to be a little quicker today. Like that's going to happen. So I'm Greg Leach. This is Art of Cycling, and this is the Dauphine, stage 7. So again, that lovely word, penultimate. This is the penultimate stage, and we're actually going across the valley right now of the very last climb of the day, another mountaintop finish in store. Yesterday was a wild one, and changed the jerseys yet again, although technically the jersey went back to someone who had it before, so yes, a change from the start of the day, but not a change in the names of people who have worn it. So, being cryptic, that was Tade, who, after being pressured all day, just showed people why he's Tade. And just rode everyone off his wheel. Lots being said about the fact that he did it without ever coming out of the saddle. I get it. That is impressive. But when you can push the kind of watts he can, why bother standing up? Not that aerodynamics played into the stage at all, but standing up means you catch a little more wind. And speaking of wind, let's get to what I'm painting right now. So we're going across the valley roads before the last climb, and going over a bridge. Of course, as we go across the valley roads, you're snaking back and forth across the river that made the valley you're riding through, right? You're sorry, I'm going to turn this so I can get this line better. There, now line it back up. So the only two paintings I've done today were this and this. You may notice, and you certainly will when I lay in color, that it's at least the same team, but it is in fact the same rider too. And it's the Frenchman Romain Bardet. So not only is this the penultimate stage of today's race, it's the penultimate stage of his racing career. I truly admire Bardet. He has tried very hard in the last now 3 stages, well, not including well, I'm sure he tried very hard, but was unsuccessful and, didn't make a mark in the time trial. But he is trying, probably hoping against hope, but trying yet again to win a stage in this final race. I can admire someone who, despite this being the end of this, is still out there trying pretty much every day to win a stage. Obviously, what a great way to go out of your career, by winning. But he's certainly going out as, now I'm back to, NBC is back to having Bob Roll and Christian Vande, who I enjoy listening to as well. But different than Anthony McCrosset, but you know, different is good. I'm not quite sure the reasoning why NBC has chosen to change announcing teams during the course of the coverage. So the opening weekend, we started with Bob and Christian, and then we went to Anthony McCrosset. God almighty, my tongue's tied. But and now, as I said, we're back to the opening broadcast team. I'm trying to figure out how to do these green rails, and from how we look at them on screen, they seem to be basically solid. I think we'll call that successful. And since we've already got green on the brush, might as well move on to the grass. And part of that is just to keep, you know, you can see that I keep, well, you can't quite see the water bottle right there, but, you know, I keep rinsing out the brush to make sure that I don't create mud. And that's what, so speaking to that and color mixing and all of that, how do I want to say this? Sorry. So if you, as you're mixing, if you add the complementary color, so in this case red, to the green, you will deepen the color, you'll mute the color, and depending on how much of the complementary color you add, you will turn it to a muddy gray brown. Now I say, you know, now having said that, of course I use that. There goes Pippin letting me know that something's happening in his little brain. So where was I? But conversely, if you lay the complementary color next to, I just put my brush in the wrong color, so rinse it out again. If you lay complementary colors next to each other, they will help to pop. I'm going to guess the mailman's here. Either that or horror of horrors, a dog is walking up the street. So you can see this blue, that orange was still a bit wet, so the blue picked it up, and you get a little bit of bleed. Which I kind of like seeing bleed in watercolor. You got to control it. You don't want it happening all the time, but then that's another way you could end up with gray color, because blue and orange are complemented colors. So Bardet is in this, he's tried to go off the front. He was in a breakaway that had just 3 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds as they went over the top of the mountain. But as they started back down the other side, he showed just how strong of a descender he is, and opened up almost a minute on the peloton, a very small peloton, but grew all the way down the climb. But he opened up almost a minute on the chasers behind him, which is, considering who was chasing, pretty friggin' impressive. Now it's dropping back down. He's got only like 3/4 of a minute, because across the valley and on this a slight, it's what cycling likes to call a false flat. Which means just, a slightly uphill 1 or 2% rise as you ride across. So false flat obviously comes from, you think it's flat, but that's false. Really tough terminology there, huh? So this piece is just about done. I have to lay in the roadway yet. Gives me time to say, all this work, after I paint it, this stage will be up on my blog, where you can read about everything as well, theartofcycling.blogspot.com. While you're there, you will find links for each painting that's discussed over to my website, gregleach.com, where you can purchase the work, and all of it's for sale. All of it except for one painting. Kind of nice. Started off the race by selling the last painting from the first stage. But haven't followed that up, alas. So, and of course it'd be nice to hear what you think about the painting, about the racing. What do you think it tells us about what's going to happen in roughly 3 weeks' time with the Tour de France? Sadly, Romain won't be there. But, and of course, thumbs up and a subscribe, so you can, because I'll be doing this with every stage of the tour as well. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Love to hear what you think.